now time for community conversations. A program focusing on the people working to make the Jonesboro community a better place while offering views from all sides of the issues. The views expressed in this program are those of the participant and not necessarily those of KLK, or Arkansas Minority Advocacy Council, or our underwriters or sponsors. KLK 102.5 FM. Good morning to you. It's September 16th, 2016. This is Community Conversations. Kato Wonder is in the studio. If you know somebody's phone, I'm sorry. That's my co-host, Mr. Kabila Hardy. And our guest in the studio today is Mr. George Williams. Mr. Williams is running for Jonesboro City Council, Ward 4, position 2. How you doing today, Mr. Williams?
Very good. Thanks for having me.
All right, Mr. Williams, just go ahead and start off by telling the listeners about yourself and your background.
Sure. I've lived in Jonesboro for almost all of my 41 years. My family moved here when I was 2 years old. Grew up in Jonesboro. Met my wife at Jonesboro High School. She and I are at JHS. Went off to college to Mississippi State. Got jobs in Dallas. About a year later, we decided we want to be back home with our families. So we moved back in 1999. I've been here ever since. I worked at Hytrill Conveyor for almost 8 years. And about 9 years ago, I started my own business working with manufacturers around the country. So I've got a very strong passion and background in manufacturing and engineering. So that's kind of where I'm coming from. That's my perspective on almost everything, right? Okay. That's the second view of the last 15, 20 years of my life. So.
Okay. All right, so what made you decide to want to run for Jonesboro City Council? Because that's kind of a big transition going from manufacturing to government.
Yes, and I'm not a politician at all, and the only nervousness I have is what am I getting into with that, right? And there's a spotlight that's going to be put on me, and that's fine, I can take that, but it's a different kind of thing. So why do I want to do this? Why do I want to spend my time on city council, campaigning, all that? Because it is a lot of time. There's a lot of time there. Long and short, I'm ready to get in. I've got a manufacturing perspective that I think is needed on the council. There's a lot of representative people in a lot of different industries and perspectives on the city council. I think manufacturing is lacking. I think we need to prop that side of it and support them more, not just in the manufacturing businesses, but also STEM, science, technology, engineering, manufacturing. In general, that's passion. I served for 8 years on the Arkansas Science and Technology Authority Board, and so I want to give back what's been given to me. I think JHS preparing for the future out in the world. I think that this city is unique, and I think that we need to take it to the next level. We've had great progress over the past many years, but I think it's going to sputter a little bit. And I think we got to get in there and take it to the next level. We've got a great culture. We've got a great society. We've got this common sense culture that I think can take us to the next level. My story is not unique. There's a lot of people that went off of Jonesboro. Some of them didn't come back. Some of them did. It's important to me that we have a city that my son wants to raise his family in.
That's right.
15. He's a sophomore at HS right now. Getting close to that college age, and when he leaves, I want him to come back. There's a little bit of stuff there. But honestly, I want your kids to stay here. I want your family here. Because if we can have that kind of family environment in Jonesboro, it keeps us unique and different from the rest of the world. So, long saying why I want to do this, it's our future.
Well, we've got an hour, so take your time.
My wife told me that, she goes, you need to slow down when you talk, because sometimes when you get going, you just if you guys want to give me a hand signal, slow
down. One time we may have to cut you off if we get ready to go to a break, but we got a little while.
Okay, so you mentioned that you wanted to come back. What initially brought you back to Jonesboro?
I was in Fort Worth. My wife was in Dallas. We lived in the middle between Dallas and Fort Worth. Okay. And we would go there and not see anybody we know. We both had great jobs down there. I was in the aerospace industry. She was in interior design for a large architecture firm. But then we decided, there's more to life than just that, right? And so we wanted to come home with our family and our friends and raise our family with our family and friends, right? Great city, a lot of stuff to do down there, but we wanted to be on. That was our story.
Okay.
Now that we're back home, and we both try quite a bit for what we do, we see things out there, and we're like, well, goodness, Jonesboro can have that. Right? We can do that. We've got the infrastructure, maybe not using the best of its capability or capacity, right?
Okay.
So those are the kinds of things that I'm interested in exploring and trying to figure out and trying to get out there. What can we do to use what we've got, plus improve things that we've got, but also use the infrastructure we've got already.
And speaking of infrastructure, one of the biggest issues that have been concerning the city of Jonesboro for this year is the drainage system. So if you were on the city council, how would you use your expertise to alleviate the drainage situation? What solutions would you propose to improve that and to prevent, hopefully, floods from happening like the one that we had a few months back?
Right, great question, because that's actually one of my 3 points here. You know, in my line of work, what I do is I work with customers to help them find solutions, manufacturers to help them find solutions to their problems. And so we lay all the facts out there, and we come up with all the ideas, and we try to figure out what we call quick victories. What are the things we can do in the least time to have the biggest impact on whatever organization we're working with? It's water at warp speed. It's a bunch of flat land, and it backs up. So there's no surprise we've got that issue. So what can we do to be ahead of the game rather than reacting to it after it happens? You know, the city just recently awarded a contract to an outfit in Dexter, Missouri, for I think it was 1.6, 1.8 million to come in villages in Jonesboro. And the argument was, one of the arguments was that we don't have the equipment for that. This outfit in Dexter, Missouri does. And so that just kind of made me turn my head sideways and say, why don't we have equipment for that? We know we are. We know where we live. Why shouldn't we be investing in those types of things? Right? So now that it's happened, let's take that as an event that we need to adjust and go forward and figure out so it doesn't happen again.
Speaking with Mr. George Williams, Jonesboro City Council candidate, Ward 4, position 2. If you have a question for Mr. Williams, the line is open at 870-277-1080. Once again, that number is 870-277-1080. We're also live on our Facebook page. So if you have a question for Mr. Williams, you can also post your question or your comment there as well.
I just want to give the people that are listening and watching like a brief overview of what a city council member or alderman is. It's a person, basically it's a city council, town board of board, alderman is the legislative body that governs the city. So like you were saying, okay, why don't we have this? So how much power does the city council, just let the people know, what your position entails and how much power you actually have when it comes to making certain decisions of the city.
Well, there are 12 city council members, so I would be one of 12, and the mayor would be, the casting vote.
Okay.
There were a tie on the city council. So, passing ordinances, hearing from people, hearing their concerns, voicing their concerns. I don't even really equate city council with power per se.
Okay.
I equate city council member with voice of the people,
Okay.
right? And so that's where I'm coming from. Is what are those problems that are out there? Let's bring them to the table and let's figure out what the solutions are. I don't have the perspective or even mentality to walk into a situation and say, I know the answers.
Okay.
That's not what I do with my customers because
Okay.
they would say, get out of here, man.
Thank you.
Go ahead. Let me go ahead and finish that point before I go to my question.
So I come in saying I can add to the discussion and figure out what some possible solutions are, rather than me coming in and saying I've got I'm Mr. Manufacturing know-it-all. I don't. Right? That's the first thing I go to customers and say I don't know it all, and I'm going to ask you a bunch of dumb questions to try to figure out what the real solution is.
Okay.
Help facilitate. Take that voice. Take those problems. And figure out before we flood half of Jonesboro, as an example. Before our officers have pay issues. That's a whole other thing I'm sure we'll get into, but it's this whole thing where we're chasing the issue rather than thinking forward and listening to people and having some action before the disaster. Right?
Action before the disaster, I like that.
All right, Mr. Williams, just let the listeners know, first of all, what area does Ward 4 position 2 cover?
It's a large south-west pie shape in the city. I believe, it's you go from, I believe it's Wood Springs Road to part of South Courthouse, I believe. I've got my map in my head there, but it's a large pie shape in the southwest corner of Jonesboro.
And then my next question is, this is something that was candidates and current city council in the past. What are your thoughts on ward voting versus actual voting? Currently, our stuff is even when you represent, as you said, that pie-shaped area of Jonesboro, the entire city of Jonesboro as a whole will elect you. Do you think the best route, or do you think it would be better if only the residents area that you serve elected you, or a combination of both? One position is at large and one position is ward only? I guess the first thing is most people don't know that fact that you can vote on any Alderman if you're a registered voter in the city of Jonesboro. Now, what's my opinion of it? I tend to like the way it is right now. I like the fact that we can have representatives in a certain area, aldermen in a certain area. The whole city can vote on it, right? If we didn't have per ward, we could have a bunch of people gathered up in one corner of the city, right? So I like that it's distributed out. I also like that people on the north side of town or the west side of town can have a voice on who's going to be representing the city at large. And so at some point, across a city the size of Chicago, well, sure, it's huge, right? I don't know what that line is, but it just seems to feel right for Jonesboro that it is the way it is right now. I don't know of any issue that they're from that. It feels right that we can all have the whole city can have a voice on.
I'm glad you brought up that because essentially the decisions we all as a group make will affect the city at large.
Yes.
Even though you represent a certain area of state, even though we can probably talk this week in the ground, the police pay. Police represent the whole city of Jonesboro. So even though you live in a certain district or a certain ward, you all are coming together from all board to make a decision over the whole police department, which serves the whole city. So I personally kind of like the at-large voting right now. Now, though, position two, like is there or what is between a position and one position two?
There's no difference really in terms of ability to vote or any of that. It's staggered across the city. This election season, all position 2 seats are up for election.
Okay.
And then the next election cycle will be all position 1. So it's basically just a T-body, right?
So is it the term limits or when they came in and just?
They're staggered.
Okay.
I think all position 1 reference 118, all position 2 are now obviously 116, so they're just staggering it, which is kind of a nice thing.
Okay. So have you had a chance to dive into more issues that one face your ward and two face the city of Jonesboro, and what are the ones that you would love to tackle?
Well, obviously the police pay is the hot topic today, and that one, quite honestly, confuses me.
Okay.
Not the facts in the situation. Why are we even talking about it? I mean, not that we shouldn't be paying the police officers more, we absolutely should, but how did we get here? So I'm genuinely confused by that situation. I'm reaching out, talking to people, trying to understand what's going on. And, from my manufacturing experience and, leading teams and all of that, pay comes up from time to time, right? We all do a job and expect to get paid fairly for what we do. But what I've seen is that when pay comes up as an issue with the entire group, there's often something else under the hood, right? Something else going on, and I haven't figured that out quite yet. And I'm investigating. I'm trying to figure out what's going on here because when people say not being paid well as a group, generally there's something else there with. I appreciate it. I don't have the right resources. I'm not getting what I want to out of the job.
Okay.
And so I read in the paper this week. His wife said, "Hey, we didn't do this. My husband didn't do this because of the pay. He didn't do this because you're going to get rich being a police officer, right? But we need to be paid equitably and fairly for what we do, and that's absolutely right." Is that it? Is that the end of the story? We lost 80 officers in the last 5 years, which was a fact that I almost was over when I heard that, right, from talking to an officer. What's going on? So I said, okay, let's do my thing when I work with customers, and I say, let's wave the magic wand, and that problem goes away. Let's wave the magic wand, and everybody can be on the right pay, and then it's settled. Are we going to lose any more officers? Are we going to have that kind of ship, right? He said, no. I said, okay, now we're starting to find cause. Now let's keep on going on that path. And so I think we owe it to the police officers, the city, everyone to find out what are those things going on by no just circumstance, right? What is it that we can bring to light, figure out, and fix for our officers, for the police leadership, for the city. You know, I don't think we need to hide, not that anybody's intentionally hiding it. I just think that we need to address those issues, and we need to bring those to light and say, let's fix it. So that 2 years from now, it isn't some other issue that's creeping up, and it's showing itself as something else, right?
Well, Mr. Williams, seems from just observations over the past few months that a couple of things that forth, like one of the complaints that the officers had is that the officers who have been on the force for several years are making the same as someone who just joined the force, or as in the last city council meeting, which I attended, there was an officer that was a training officer and said before he got his most raise that the rookies who were training were making more money than him. And then you also have, on the other hand, there have been some concern on the council about the budget, that if this raise is passed, that it could have a negative impact on future budgets. And then there's also the situation to where some of the other employees feel that they are entitled to raises, they are in the same situation. So you kind of have a lot of different pieces and play with this situation. So just kind of give the listeners your thoughts on that.
My first thought, and I wasn't in the city council chambers because it was code, right?
Yeah,
but again, I was standing.
Well, I got there at 4 o'clock that day. I was given a heads up to get there extra early.
You're a smart guy. I got there at 5 o'clock and I stood outside, but I watched it live in City Hall monitors, and you know I heard that from that officer, and my jaw dropped because you got, my gosh. When you combine that with the reality of budget and reality of the other city city employees, I mean, the politician answer is very complicated, and it is. And we got to get in there and figure out what all's going on with this. What's the plan? I think, you know, side conversation, side point here, as I think some of the problems with politics in general, that if somebody says something, we hold it to it for the rest of their lives. But we fact in the life, people ought to be able to think and react to those things and come up with the right opinions and the right perspective and the right policies based on those new facts. So I learned something that says, hey, we got to kind of adjust this. But what I'm saying now, and the facts that are presented to me, you know, let's take care of the officers. That is the highest risk position in the city. They go out and they literally have guns pointed at them, right? They literally don't know what's going to happen when they pull over somebody, right? It's extremely risky. Who's next in the line of risk? We've got the firemen in there. They're going out there and they've got that.
They're going to a house.
Right. And so, you know, when we think about taking care of those take care of us in the riskiest situations, not to downplay the rest of the city employees at all, right? But we've got our officers who are out there literally on the front lines. And so let's figure out what's going on. Let's address those things. Let's get the step plan in place. Let's make it so that everybody knows what's going on when we get into this. And let's not just stop there. Let's figure out what the real things are. You know, when you hire somebody in a business and they leave 9 months later or a year later, like what's happening with our officers, that's a cost that doesn't show up anywhere. That's a cost in training that person who really truly productive for that time, and took productivity away from the other person who's training, right? So they can be as effective as they need to be in their jobs because they're training somebody who then leaves. And so it's a sunk cost, it's gone. And then you've got the morale problem where I've trained, me being somebody who's training a police officer, I've trained 3 or 4 guys this past year and they all leave. what's the point in my job, right? Oh, by the way, I'm not being paid enough either. So you've got all these things hitting people. They're just like, oh my gosh, this isn't fun anymore. This isn't why I had a calling to be a police officer, to train a bunch of people that they didn't leave because we didn't have the money for it. And it's a snowball effect.
Speaking with Mr. George Williams, running for Ward 4, Position 2 of the Jonesboro City Council. If you got a question or a call for Mr. Williams, phone number is 870-277-1080. Once again, that phone number is 870-277-1080. And you can also leave your comments on our Facebook live stream. We do have a shout out to Mr. Al Brodell. Appreciate you for watching our live stream. We'll be back with more Community Conversations on KLEK 102.5.
You're listening to Community.
All right, and the webcam still rolls doing it.
So, no anything harmful for yourself, pain, or anybody else.
But pretty good first segment.
It started early. I was trying to share the video, and now I guess it's because it's dated, and it automatically starts playing the video versus giving you the option to tap. And all these updates, like everything just, you get used to one thing and then something else happens. So my husband said good morning. Well, I didn't share the video. Okay. He said good morning online.
Sorry guys, when I gave my
Oh, that's good.
Yes.
It's the show flow. As long as when we say, okay, we're going to get ready to go to break, and you stop. We have had some guests that they get going and just had to time themselves. We're going to break.
you have to throw something at me.
But no, we're not going to do violence. We have video proof. And then
Nerf ball, you can throw a Nerf ball.
But we have had some also that were like, you trying to scramble to come up with something else.
yeah, some people are long-winded, some people are no-winded, and then you have people that are all shades in the middle. So, but you know, people be themselves. If you're long-winded, be long-winded. Like I said, as long as when we get ready to go to break, so you cut it off. But if you're not very talkative, because being yourself is the most important, because I think people have a great respect for you when you're genuine and yourself. You know, no matter where you stand on things, how you feel about things. You know, we're gonna treat everybody. We bring you in here. You say, hey, this is who I am. This is what I stand for. This is what I'm gonna do, and people can decide, you know, if they want to support you or not.
I really hope that people are paying attention because sometimes for myself, I never really knew who I was voting for at the time. But I just, I'm just going to click somebody. But now I'm getting to the places to name and actually now hearing the people's view on why they're running for position. So it's helping me to become more informed. Sad to say that at my age, but
Alright, get ready to go back.
And now back to Community Conversations with KLEK 105 FM.
And we're back on Community Conversation with our guest, Mr. George Williams. He is running for Ward 4, Position 2 of.
Gives our city a great complexion that we care about our citizens, and then we give back to help move citizens around the city. I think that's not something I saw growing up, right? And I think it's a great accomplishment for the city. We have brought in quite a bit of inventory. We've brought in, we've got the 2 convention centers going. We have a lot of progress going on in the city, and those are great accomplishments for the city. So I think we need to stop there? No. I think we need to keep on going. So, sometimes, part of my viewpoint is the city needs to be unique, needs to stay unique. I think we are. We are a very special place. But that doesn't mean we can stop.
Now, you mentioned about the 2 convention centers. Do you think the city of Jonesboro will be able to support 2 convention centers and both of them thrive and be successful?
It remains to be seen, but I sure hope so. And Jonesboro, again, is a unique place. Who would have known we've got a mall that has 2 million people going through every year?
Okay.
We've got quite a special place. have half a second, and we're not going to get there slowing down. We need to keep this ball spinning faster and faster.
Can you explain to people how much influence the city council has on bringing new businesses in, making decisions on what type of business comes to town?
You know, I don't know that they have a decision on who comes to town, but certainly they can do their part to help encourage businesses to come to town. Through tax incentives, through helping with zoning and roads and construction and planning, and having a industrial park that is ready. Working with City Water and Light to have the infrastructure ready to go. You know, the city had hired, the Chamber of Commerce, I believe it was, or the city, it was a long time ago, hired a consultant that wanted to come in and say, who do we need to be targeting?
Okay.
We learned this back in our Leadership Jonesboro back in 2000, I think it was, 2002. The class that I was part of. And the consultant came in, and everybody thought, well, bending steel and making widgets and all of that. The consultant came in and said, you got amazing water, right? And they've got great ideas of, we want to do this. And in 2016, almost anything's possible with manufacturing technology today. All the tools that are out there. But you got to step back and say, all right, what's really practical? We can do anything, but what do we need to be doing? What's the right thing to be doing now? And all the possibilities that are in front of us, what's the smart thing to be doing now? It's kind of this quick victory thing I mentioned earlier, where we put it down on a piece of paper. Here are all the things we want to do, and here's how long and how much money it's going to cost to do those things. What are the things we can do that have the biggest impact in the least amount of time? That's balancing the possible with the practical. And so, do I have all the answers? Do I getting into city council and saying, we're going to do this, this, and this, and this? No, I don't. Nobody does, right? That's why there are 12 of us up there, is that we bring a unique perspective, and the perspective that I'm going to bring, is balancing that possible with practical. Say, hey, we've got all these things out here. What are the things we can do to impact the city in a positive way as fast as possible?
And of course, you mentioned there being 12 people on the council. Of course, there's going to probably be changes on the council, especially if you get elected. You'll be a new councilman, and there might be some other potential new councilmen as well. And there's also the potential for a new mayor as well. So that could add another dynamic to the equation. So what are your thoughts on that, the possibility of having to work with a whole new mayor?
There's five mayor candidates now. There were 6, now there are 5, I believe. The city council elections are kind of going to be in the shadows compared to what's going on with the mayor election. But with that said, we're going to have potentially very much the same or very much different city council and mayor. And so, the people I see that are running, reasonable people. I think we can all come together. We're all here. We're all interested in improving Jonesboro and making life better for the citizens. I don't see an issue with that. I mean, it's just a matter of coming to the table and putting the ideas down and figuring out what
Be addressed.
Well, we're a growing city. We've got traffic concerns for sure. It's difficult to get across town. And that's, on one hand, good. This 500,000 person draw to the city puts a lot of pressure on our infrastructure. And so, reviewing that, working with the State Highway Commission, and figuring out where those bottlenecks are and alleviating those. And I know that the city's doing a lot of work on that. We can go further. And so what is further, right? Planning for the future, not just where we are today. Doing those things that not only solve traffic problems, but improve general quality of life and transportation. Sidewalks. We just added a large sidewalk down Carolwood, North Carolwood. It's absolutely great. Should have had that a long time ago,
Yes.
right? Also with bike paths, bike trails, bike lanes, It doesn't have to be complicated. I know in Little Rock they have bike paths underneath power lines using the right-of-way that the power companies have. That's cheap land, right? And it's a straight shot. So doing those kinds of things, let's look at what we've got today. Where can we have a good impact using paths that are already cut and combining alleviating problems with put a sidewalk on there too, right? That help out our citizens. So I think general quality of life, taking our infrastructure and taking it to the next level. You know, a big one for me also is the jet system. We've got a great jet system that services the community. Can we do more? And so I think of things. I ask questions like, we've got great parks in the city. We can improve on parks. What's going on at Craig Wars is amazing, right? It didn't cost the city of Jonesboro a dime, right? We got grants, we got state money for it. We've got an amazing park, Joe Parks, amazing park. How do kids get to it if they don't have parents driving them out there?
Mm-hmm.
We've got a jet system that can easily have an express route in the summertime from park to park for kids only. And so mom and dad can put their kid on a bus on the jet system and go to whatever park they want to go to. Heck, mom and dad can go with them, right? And so they can go out to Joe Matt Campbell and they can play baseball. They can play, soccer. They can hit the tennis courts. Or, tomorrow I want to go hit the new awesome bridge that's out at Craig Forest. And I want to experience nature and I want to see all of that. I want to get on a bus, but I don't want to have to, one, fight traffic through the city. Or two, if I don't have a car and I can't get there, I still want to be able to enjoy it. And so those are the kinds of little tweaks that we've already got these buses running around, or the jet system running around in the city. Why don't we do that to improve quality of life for everybody and help, the community interact with each other so that people aren't in their own little pockets around the city. I think that's one of the worst things we can do is we've got this part of the city and that part. We have a city and we've got the infrastructure so that we can all be mobile around it. So let's do it.
Another issue concerning the jet system. I know it boils down to money. There are a lot of times there was a weekend service.
Shout out to Mrs. Farrell.
How do you propose, or what is your suggestion to the citizens of Jonesboro if they want to see the jet system grow and expand their services? What do the citizens need to do to help that?
I'm not afraid to say I don't know. I don't know right now, but that's something that we need to look into is to figure out what can we do to use the infrastructure that we've got. I'm going to use a manufacturing thing because I'm going to go to that's where my experience is, right? And if you right. Thanks for your call.
Thank you for the comments, Farrell.
Yeah, I'm going to get nerdy here for a second.
No
So
problem.
That's all right. Well, you're talking to two nerds.
okay, so because I am a nerd, right? I'm not the biggest one there is. So, I work in a company that we give software solutions to manufacturers, right? So we're always, what's going on? What's the latest thing out there? And so some may not know that Uber, if you've heard of Uber, now have self-driving Ubers in Philadelphia. Self-driving Ubers. They got the stuff on top. They're driving around the city. I think they may have somebody in there, in case it goes in a ditch or whatever, right, to get it out. But they're driving around. And so I think with all this going on, Tesla and all these other things, I'm still looking my geek clause out there. You got to give me permission to talk about this. So it's very possible in 10 years we may not have people driving buses. We may not have people driving trucks. There are 100 Volvo semis driving around Europe right now with nobody.
I've seen a video of one of them. I think Mercedes had one as well in Europe that they were test driving.
So so listeners, I don't think it's George going to make this happen. It's going to happen. There are children today that I don't think are going to drive vehicles. It's just not going to happen, right? 16 years from now, it's hard to think about, right? It's hard to think about 70 miles an hour down the road and nobody there. The reality is, what does our jet system look like in 10 years? That's not that far away.
Well, if you think about it, all three of us are the same age. You say you're 41, I'm 38. Well, you won't never tell me. But we're all.
I'm the old man here, all right.
Only about, well, you got her only about 3 points. All of us came up in the same generation, so when we grew up in the 80s, we probably wouldn't imagine cell phones and social media and things that we have now when we were just kids, running around watching Saturday morning cartoons. And like you said, these kids that are growing up now, the things that we have now, it's going to be a totally different.
Yeah, and so my point with that is, this is where we get into not prepping for the future. The future is coming, self-driving vehicles to take people from A to B, and that's what JETS is, right? And so let's have a city that goes ahead and plans for that, and we have a service that runs, all days of the week, right? There are obviously financial concerns with that in today's money, but what's that like 10 years from now? And in that 10 years of time, what can we do to improve the lives of our citizens and the complexion of our city that said we care about people, not just Monday through Friday, but 7 days?
No, but this topic is one that can also be talked about forever and a day. But I do want to bring up one more point concerning the jet system. There are some people who would love to see it run extended hours. Just say for some of the teenagers that work at fast food, or people that work at restaurants, they may get off at 9 or 10. Some of those people, need rides, so it would be very beneficial. Now, I know there will be some safety concerns for the nighttime, maybe having a plainclothes officer or someone on the bus, to kind of help with security issue. I know there's a lot of nuts and bolts that need to be worked out concerning this. So, and again, I guess my question is, kind of backing up on Ms. Norman said, can the citizens that do utilize the system, can they come together to a city council meeting, or does it have to be a special call meeting?
At the end of every city council meeting, any citizen can speak on whatever they want.
Okay.
There's 5 minutes per person.
It's public comment, and it's always the part of the city council meeting.
Okay. So, I'm going to throw this out there. I urge anyone that has any questions concerning the city of Jonesboro. This is your home. This is your city. This is the place where you're raising your children, your family. So, go to those city council meetings. I don't think people utilize those opportunities enough.
I agree. So, it's there. That's why they're there, to give voice to the citizens, right? And so, come and have your voice. With JETS, who knows what we can do immediately? Who knows what we can do 10 years from now? But I think we need to be talking about it, and I think we need to have the best utilization of that resource that we can for our city. And it pains me that we have
Mr. George Williams. Ms. Farrell, the next meeting is on the 20th. Well, Ms. Farrell, I'll give you a piece of advice. Whenever you get that organized, you all probably need to get there around about 4 o'clock. And the reason why I say that, and they can only hold 75 people, so yeah. So make sure that you have it early. Yes, ma'am. All right, thank you, Ms. Farrell. Speaking with Mr. George Williams, he is running for the Jonesboro City Council, Ward 4. position 2C. Phone number open to 870-277-70. I'm not canceling.
For pretty stressed.
Because you know, whenever a phone come out, these other companies make things to it.
A lot of so John Street and go throw it away. Churches in the city, they may be sick or they don't have money. It costs us a dime. With in short, let's keep talking about that. Let's find out what the right balance is for Jonesboro. I think we need a problem, but we're not going to do it with just 12. The hook. What I city. It's not a hard-nosed, black and white thing with in front of a appointed position. Let's go to the
Phone goes out to Cooper.
10:45.